Hi guys, welcome back to my bookshelf. It is Akia Anise, and today I hope you find something you like. In this video, I thought I would go into detail about all of the books that made me fall in love with reading year by year. I'm going to start with all the way back in elementary school and work my way up. These aren't all of my favorite books, but they're the ones that really they're the highlights of my reading journey. They are probably the books, when I get them again, that will be fully displayed on my shelf, like at the forefront of my shelf, because again, these books played a huge role in my love for reading, and that did start in like 3rd grade. So let's get into them, y'all. Okay, honestly, I'm gonna start with my favorite in 3rd grade, because what happened, so I remember, I don't know why I asked to go, and I don't know why they let me go. But I just remember asking to go to the library. And actually, you know what? Maybe I didn't even ask. Maybe it was just library time for my class. I think in 3rd grade, you know how usually like your whole class would just go to the library at a certain time of day or whatever? Well, I think it was that time for us. And in my school library, we had audiobooks. So it made things a little bit easier and fun. And I remember seeing The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer, and it was an audiobook. So I was like, cool, I'll follow along. I'll listen and follow along. Now, you guys, I didn't entirely love reading at this point, obviously, but I was interested. I was like, okay, I was new. I was introduced to the concept, and they were like, just go find a book and read. It's reading time. So I'm like, okay. I found a book, and y'all don't understand. Little me was so in love. Like, I didn't stop at the first book. I think I got up to book 2 or 3, but I fell in love with reading after that book. It's actually insane, because I remember going to the library so often. Eventually, I did start asking to go to the library to get book 2 or to get book 3. And sadly, I never got to finish the whole series. I think there's like 6 or more books. And one day, I am going to finish that series. I say it in like every video. I'm going to finish The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. Yeah, I don't know how many books there are, but I'm going to have to commit a week to just finishing all of the books and heal that inner child in me, because she deserves to know exactly how that story ended. And it was so amazing. But yeah, that really kicked it off for me in 3rd grade. That's when my love for reading truly started. Of course, growing up, I enjoyed the basic stories like Amelia Bedelia. I loved Amelia Bedelia. That's not even on my list, and it should be. I loved Amelia Bedelia. I loved what is it called? Was it like what was that bad little boy name? Oh, No, David, No. So I love the basic stories that they read in class. I also love the Amelia Bedelia books. I love the Pinkalicious books. So I guess I always was kind of interested in reading, but I didn't have that passion for it. Like, I didn't just choose to read till The Land of Stories. And that's when I realized, like, hold on, wait a minute, this might be my thing. And then I spent a few years trying to finish that story, because we didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't afford to go buy it. I couldn't just ask my mom for it. So I just really could only get it when I was at libraries or things like that. And those opportunities did not come up that often. So fast forward, let's say, I think this is 5th grade. I read, and I say 5th grade because I actually have the picture, you guys. It's so freaking cute. Every time I see that picture of myself, I feel so proud and happy and excited, because I'm like, you're still that girl. You are still that girl. And it's a picture of me holding, I wasn't showing the book, but I just was holding it in my arms on my way to school that morning. And I was holding The Diary of a Middle School Princess by Meg Cabot. And I remember I love that book too. I love that book so much. And I think that it made it even more special that I was in middle school. And I remember the story was about, I think it was this girl who found out she was a princess, and she got picked up in like what is it? She got picked up. No, I can't. Oh my goodness, what is it? This is actually kind of crazy. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, she just, like, her life completely changed, and she found out she was a princess. And like, it was like every middle school. Like, I mean, when I was in middle school, I wish I just found out I was a princess. Like, oh my goodness, please let me be a princess. And so I would say that definitely sparked something in me too. It kind of just got me right back into reading. Because it's not that I didn't like reading. It's just that was the point in my life where I moved to another state for the first time. I had to get new friends. New people, new teachers, a new school, new family. Like, it was a big shift for me. So that book, I remember it held like a special place in my heart at the time, because it was just pure happiness when I was reading that book. I was excited. I was interested. I was all in. You get it? So we have The Land of Stories. We have The Diary of a Middle School Princess by Meg Cabot. And then also in middle school, I think this was maybe now 6th grade. No, 5th grade. No, I feel like we learned about this. When did we learn about this? I don't know what exact year, but it had to be like 5th or 6th grade. Maybe it was even 4th grade, but I don't think we were reading this book in 4th grade. But anyway, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, or The Diary of Anne Frank. I remember in school, we read that book before we watched the movie, and I was obsessed, y'all. I don't know what it is, and I am not a history person. That's the crazy part about it, is I don't care too much. I never cared too much about learning about history. I was good at it. I got top of my class in it, and y'all don't even know how shocked I was. When my teacher told me that I passed the end of the year exam with the highest score in the whole class, girl, I couldn't even believe her. So I never liked history, but it's something about Helen Keller and The Diary of a Young Girl that captivated my interest since then. And I still remember like reading that book. It was interesting, and I loved it. I don't have too much to say about it aside from that it did and still does hold a special place in my heart. And every now and then I do go back and watch the movies about them. So that's a random one, but there's that. I also really love the Judy Moody books. I don't know who did it, but the Judy Moody books did it for me. Those were special. That was great. And then at this point, I had moved back to my home state. I moved back here, and again, it was another huge shift, getting used to a different kind of family all over again, and just kind of feeling the world out at this crucial time in my life. I'm still in middle school, 7th grade. I met my 7th grade reading teacher. I think her name was Mrs. Parr. It had to be Mrs. Parr. I think it was Mrs. Parr. I don't know. I have to find out. But I met her, and I came when they were in the middle of the book. I think they were reading, what was it? It was something Mockingbird. You guys know what I'm talking about. Or Mockingjay. It was one. Oh, I can't believe I don't remember the name. I am so bad at remembering. But it was, you know what I'm talking about. When I came to the classroom, she was like, hey, we're reading this book. We're already almost done. Just read as much as you can. And I was like, okay. I came back the next day with the whole book finished. And I don't know if it was that shocked her. But right after that, she was like, okay, I actually have a book I think you might like. And at first I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? After she was like, I have a book you might like, I was like, oh gosh, I was like, I gave her the impression I like to read. Now she's going to be suggesting books. And at this time, like, I wasn't reading that much. I just wasn't, because summer was just over. I just moved states. There was so many other things I was worried about other than reading, and it still wasn't high on my priority list. I still didn't have that mindset of, okay, I'm just going to pick up a book and read, because again, it's been so long since I really found a book I enjoyed. The last book was probably one of the books I just told you. So it's not like I loved it as much as I love it now. So I was just like, oh, okay. Like in my head, I was like, do I have to read this? But to her, I was so respectful and nice and just, yeah, sure. So when she handed it to me, I was like, I don't know. And it was a Pride and Prejudice remix, y'all. That was the book. And she told me that she emailed home and asked permission before recommending it. So she gave it to me. I took it home. And y'all, I was like, oh, you did something to me. There was something in my brain. She altered my brain chemistry the day she gave me that book to read. And I fell in love with it. And I wanted more. And I asked her for more. So first of all, a Pride and Prejudice remix. I don't know who it's by. I'm sorry. I'll have to put it on the screen. That was an absolute must for me. It was so good. And then, so I was like, okay, I need more. Then she gave me Hidden by Helen Frost. And that was when I got into mystery. I was like, I didn't even know I like books like this, but keep them coming. Keep them coming. And it was about this girl who's in the middle, and who was this 8-year-old who was in a minivan when it got stolen, and it switches back from the perspective. I don't know if it was her best friend or something, but it switches between the perspective of 2 8-year-olds. I have to put it on the screen because I'm not doing it justice, but it was just that good, and it really altered my 7th grade mind. So then I asked for more. I was like, I need more. And then she gave me Bronx Masquerade. and I read Bronx Masquerade, and I love that one just as much. And I'm like, all of these books. So that's when I knew it was over for me. I knew I loved reading. I knew it was a wrap. Like, at that point, I wanted to read. So now we're shifting lanes. I got in trouble. I forgot what I got in trouble about, or maybe it wasn't even that I got in trouble. They just felt like I wasn't learning or doing enough. Mind you, the school I was at was a charter school, and y'all, we was already learning so much, but it wasn't enough, I guess. So I don't know. I think this was as a punishment, or maybe it was just to get me to be active during the summertime. It might have been because it was summer and I needed to do more than just play Sims. I was forced to read Mama Ruby, and that is not for a kid. I do not recommend that book for a kid at all. They did give me a disclaimer about it. And since I read Mama Ruby, y'all know why I was allowed to read Pride and Prejudice Remix. It was nothing. It wasn't even as bad. So probably that summer I read Mama Ruby, and I did really enjoy that story. That was around the same time that I had to read Their Eyes Were Watching God, which I just talked about in the last video. But I had to read Mama Ruby, and absolutely love that. I'll put on the screen what it's about so that you guys can see for yourself, because I don't think I can do it justice. However, I know that I didn't read the sequels to it, and I want to read it, so maybe I'll do another video of that, of finishing that story, because I did want to before. However, again, we just didn't have the money to keep buying books, and when you're in love with books, you know how costly it gets. So all of these books, and then the series, like, just didn't have $100 to be spending on books every week. So one day I'm gonna get the books and I'm going to finish reading them. So yeah, Mama Ruby is definitely one. And now getting into the ones I know you all know for a fact. I don't know if you guys recognize any of the ones I said previously, but Everything. And I know there's a movie adaptation of it, which I love that. I have the DVD of it. I still watch it. I actually just watched it a few days ago, but I fell in love with Everything. I think that was the tip of the iceberg for falling in love with romance for me, especially because I was a new teen. Like, I was kind of just entering I was a preteen, you know, and I think that it was calming, it was soothing, and I was fascinated by the story. I was fascinated by her story. Everything is about this girl who grew up with SCID, and she was basically allergic to everything. So for 18 years, she had been in her house. She hadn't left her house in 18 years. Well, 16, because it started when she was 2. And till this boy, he moved in next door, and they kind of communicated through her window and online, and things just took a really big turn for her and her life and their love story. It was just kind of like the tip of the iceberg for me when it came to romance novels and young adult romance and things such as that, teen romance and young adult romance. After that, I was way more committed to reading books and just finding things on my own and figuring out what I liked. And I think after that, more books that kind of just really captivated me and deepened my love for reading, my passion for reading, was the Match trilogy by Ali Condé, and Twilight, obviously, by Stephanie Myers. Both of those stories took me to the point where I knew that I was completely all in with books, and I wanted to talk about books. I wanted to write about books. I needed friends to talk about books with. Like, it was just, I became that girl who took books to college with her. I was just connected, and it felt like a part of me, and it felt like my escape from reality, because, I mean, that's what it was, you know. As a teen, you go through so much, and part of my escape was reading these books. Now I know, like, maybe that wasn't the healthiest way to handle it. So I got right with God, y'all. I got right with God, and I was like, okay, I can't do that no more. But at one point, it was my escape, where all I wanted to do was read, because I didn't have to worry about my own reality. I didn't have to worry about my own feelings, my own emotions, my own issues at school or at home. All I had to worry about were these books. But when I say that, Match was pure joy for me. It was a roller coaster, because I read for the emotional roller coaster. I still do. But it was my introduction to Dystopian. And it's the reason why I love Dystopian now. And I was just talking about how I just read the Reverence trilogy by Raina Rude, which is a Christian dystopian romance trilogy. I absolutely loved it. I have no complaints about it, but it reminds me somewhat of Match. I would never ever say that she copied it or it was inspired by it. It wasn't even the same. Like, the characters didn't remind me of the characters from Match at all. Like, it was its own story, but it was just as good. And then as far as Twilight, all I'm going to say about Twilight is I read the whole entire series in 5 days. I read every single Twilight book in 5 days, y'all, around Christmas time. I was not playing. I was on a reading spree, and it wasn't even intentional. Like, I read every single second I could because I was just that sucked in, that in love, that invested. Y'all, listen, the tear stains in Twilight, I was crying, smiling, kicking my feet up, mad, happy, sad, ignoring everybody who tried to speak to me. I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. And y'all know what the most exciting part about falling in love with reading at a young age is? That your parents are just proud that you read. They don't care what it is. They're just proud that you read, and they leave you alone. Y'all, I'm telling you, I probably never stayed outside of my room as long as I did unless I had a book in my hand. I was on that couch. I slept on that couch 5 days, 4 nights reading, and not one person bothered me. My parents just smiled, told me how proud they were, and walked right past. I was living life. So I would say that, honestly, off the top of my head, those are the books that really shifted my love for reading and changed my brain chemistry. And those are the books that got me here talking to you guys about books right now. And honestly, I just hope that my children enjoy reading as much as me, because to share that passion with them, oh my goodness. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, perfect timing. My camera's about to die. Bye.